charge is about as serious as you can get.
Your convictions should never waver. Helen Stwart, played by Suzanne Pleshette, wavers on seeing a man in uniform being killed while she was sailing with her mother.
Did you see that? What? A man just shot someone. But where? Oh, over there, see?
In Columbo's episode Dead Weight Season 1, starring Peter Falk, guest starring Eddie Albert and Suzanne Pleshette.
I'm from the police, sir. My name is Columbo. Lieutenant Columbo.
Something I appreciate about this show, Columbo, is that it doesn't focus on the mystery of solving the case, but on the game Lieutenant Columbo plays with the criminal.
Oh, you don't know. But at any rate, he's a fantastic fisherman, this man, and he told me that the best time to catch anything is around about now. He says, get there before everybody, and you kind of catch the fish off guard.
The structure of these episodes are inverted compared to other detective shows like Poirot, Murder, She Wrote, Monk, and so on. The culprits are intelligent, affluent people in the Los Angeles County. And the only way Lieutenant Columbo is able to catch these folks is to get a confession, or in this episode, a witness who saw the culprit commit the murder.
He shot another man in a uniform.
If you've watched the Columbo series, you know the character is likable, and people usually underestimate him because of his appearance.
Some men, Lieutenant, do not want to look like an unmade bed.
Something that I love about Lieutenant Columbo is how the actor Peter Falk portrays the character's convictions.
I find it hard to believe that a man like General Hollister, who saved and cherished every war souvenir, even the smallest photograph, I just think it's strange that he was so careless as to allow his gun to be stolen.
Most of the time, Lieutenant Columbo has already spotted the murderer, but he has to build a strong case to convict.
If you could identify the officer in this photograph as the man that General Hollister shot, then I think a lot of these pieces would fall into place.
And that takes patience and a clear view on how to catch the killer. And in this case, Major General Martin J. Holster is the culprit who shot Colonel Roger Dunton because he was going to expose the major's fraudulent construction company.
They're bound to discover that I've let your construction company charge us a fortune in cost overruns.
You'll offer the standard explanation.
Before Colonel Dunton could tell the truth about Major Holster's corrupt business dealings,
As you say, Colonel, you're the one that accepted the bids.
he was shot, bagged, and put into the wall behind the major's bar. Now, the individual that saw Colonel Dunton get murdered was Helen Stwart, recently divorced woman, who sees the murder while she's sailing, and then after that she calls the police. And who shows up at the major's house to check on things? No other than Lieutenant Columbo of the Homicide Division. He arrives at the major's house and nothing looks suspicious.
Lieutenant, lively memories, empty uniforms. All carefully packed, Lieutenant, for the exhibit.
Oh, yes, of course, I'm sorry, sir.
Since Columbo doesn't find anything, he goes to Mrs. Stewart's home and asks what she saw.
Lieutenant, I saw two men. One in a bathrobe and the other one in a uniform. And the one in the bathrobe shot the other man. Now that is the simple truth.
When she explains to Lieutenant Columbo what she saw, she is confident and sure that she saw a man being shot. Now, as the show continues, Major Holster gets rid of the body and figures out why the police were knocking at his door.
Mr. Barnes, a couple of hours ago, out on the marina, somebody waved at me. I think it was an old friend.
Probably Mrs. Stewart and her mother.
He figures out that Helen saw him murder someone. He goes to Helen's house, and from that point on, he manipulates and convinces her.
Apparently, I need a character reference. You said that you saw me shoot somebody today, Stewart. But if you'll watch the late news tonight.
The general thereby joining other select alumni who have distinguished themselves in the defense of their country.
You still think a man like that could shoot someone for no reason at all? It's practically on Mount Rushmore. You didn't even recognize him when he came here.
Well, I was in a state of shock. I mean, I didn't expect him to show up on our doorstep.
Why don't you just admit that you're not sure?
Because I am sure.
I'm sure you'll agree that you've miscast me. as a murderer.
That she must have been mistaken in what she saw. For some of you at this point, you might think this is too fantastical. Granted, it is a murder detective show, but to think someone could manipulate someone from misremembering. But I assure you, it is not that fantastical. This woman was vulnerable.
Well, you were sure when you were married to Tom, too. Do you remember that? You had him running around with every woman in town. No wonder he asked you for a divorce.
She has been recently divorced, and this man made her feel seen and wanted. All her convictions about the killing were buried under low self-esteem.
I can't be sure.
Well, now, that photograph is 3 years
Well, I
old.
mean, it all happened so quick. I just can't be sure.
You're the one that downgrades yourself. One dinner with General Hollister, and you begin to doubt your senses.
Be careful. I don't care if you are a man or a woman. Be careful with people like this because they are wolves in sheep's clothing.
I stumbled over the crate as I was looking at the gun. Well, that must have been what your witness saw.
Of course.
Of course, we come to the part of the show where Lieutenant Columbo can't crack the case yet because there is no evidence connecting to the major except for the gun, but the gun is about to be put in an exhibit. The only person he had was Helen. So he has to come up with a plan to help Helen come to her senses.
See, I guess he wants you to know what kind of man he is, too. And that book stopped the bullet. And you know he never batted an eye. I mean, most people would take time to recover, but he didn't. You see, I think he's a very cool man under pressure.
Once she realizes that she's been manipulated.
Well, if what you say is true, I mean, you searched. Where is that gun?
This, in fact, is the murder weapon. Isn't it, General?
I assume ballistics has checked out the gun.
Lieutenant Columbo is able to get the major to admit that he murdered Colonel Dunton. The nice thing about Lieutenant Columbo is that although he was frustrated with Helen, he comforts her in the end.
I seem to have a special talent, you know? I mean, with all the men in the world, I always seem to pick Mr. Wrong.
It's the way my niece Marilyn felt after her divorce. How she's got a new husband. As a matter of fact, he's a cop, and they got 6 kids.
Columbo may look like an unkept man, but he keeps his convictions, perseveres, and outsmarts the criminal. These are just my thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.